Hello. After you have prepared your OER presentation, it is time that you look into the visual aspects of that to make it more engaging and interesting for your users, and these can be your fellow teachers, they also can be students or any colleagues who are going to read and go through this presentation. So, let us have a look what we have in store for today's topic on visual presentation skills. Everyone is aware, but I am told that most of them do not follow this particular process of planning, executing and then finally coming to impress the people who are going to look at your presentation. Planning involves techniques like brainstorming, discussions, analyzing and organizing what content you want. Execution talks about how you provide a particular flow of the whole presentation by creating an outline and adding bulleted details, and most importantly the graphic support. And finally, when it comes to the impress stage, when you actually create a presentation which has that appeal and involves the following things like the color schemes, choice of fonts, the effects which are given out while presenting these slides, and all of these makes into a visual appeal of that particular presentation. I need not stress upon this point because you all are pretty aware of this, that practice will make the presentation much better, because you never know what can go wrong at what time. In this session, I am going to cover little bit of the execute stage, which is adding graphics, and the parts of impress stage which are about color schemes, typography, visual effects and overall appeal. So, let us just have a look at graphics first. Using graphics is one of the important decisions for creating any presentation, and it is better to know little bit about the type of content vis-a-vis the type of graphic to be used. There is enough literature available which tells us about it, and I have chosen one of the prominent literature here which will tell you the types of content and the corresponding types of graphics. There are two types of graphics mainly which can be classified. The first is about the static graphics, which are photographs or images, drawings, illustrations, etc. Even screenshots for that matter is the latest entrant in this category. And in motion graphics or videos, you can see things like animations, simulations, video shot by cameras and other things. Let us see graphic types one by one and also the corresponding type of content which could be utilized for that. The first one is pretty easy, it is called the decorative graphic, which is typically used only to attract the attention of the reader or the viewer. Most of the time this has only aesthetic reason and it does not talk about the content at all, it will be mostly it will just be there for grabbing the attention. The second type is a photograph, which is a depiction of the realistic way in which the object is. For example, on the left hand side you can see the glassware which is used for some chemical experiment. A photograph will tell you exactly what is the proportion between the main glass flask and the tubes and other things. One of the other usage of this type of graphic is a screenshot. However, you want to explain that once you right click by the mouse, there will be a panel opening, there will be 4 options in that. So, instead of all this text, it will be easy to show a screenshot because that will communicate directly what you want to say and tell people about. The third thing is a very peculiar type of graphic, it is called mnemonic graphic. This conveys a content or it communicates an idea with relevant to a visual form. For example, all of you, if I ask you this question, how many days are there in the month of August, I can see that most of people can do this because this was taught to us when we are young about the peaks having 31 days and the crusts having the 30 days. So this is associated with us so much that nowadays we just remember it like this. There are some other graphics which are called organizational graphics. A map is a very good example. What it tells us is a qualitative relation between two entities within that graphic. For example, how long is place A from place B can be easily told by looking at the map. Barring few of the constraints like if it is to the scale or not and other things, but at least on a qualitative level you can easily say that this is far away and this is nearby. But if you want a quantitative representation, well then graphs and pie charts are the best way to communicate. You must have seen many of them, and being a teacher you must have used them also. They show quantitative relationships between product A and product B, or concept A and concept B, or feedback A and feedback B, C, D, etc. However, when there is a change over period kind of a concept involved, then we require something called a transformational graphic. So what happens at a particular time, what happens after X number of hours have passed or minutes have passed, and so on and so forth. These are transformational graphics where you say state A, state B, state C, so that the user can easily relate to these stages. There is one more interesting graphic available which is called the interpretive graphic. Here the structure is depicted in a line art format, however use of arrows and colors can be very useful in explaining the process which is happening inside. So how the air will come inside, from where will it come inside, how will it travel inside, and so on and so forth can be explained very easily by using the arrows and the labels along with it. This is called interpretive graphics. In a nutshell, for the type of content which are given on the left hand side, the type of graphics are recommended which are given on the right hand side. Let me clarify, this is not kind of cast in stone type of a guideline, this is just a suggestion, and it is observed that in most cases this works. This work is based on the famous researchers of using graphics in e-learning by Clark and Lyons, which is the reference is given at the bottom. Another small announcement that the slides which will have the green dot on the top would be the guideline slides. So whenever you want to refer to certain guidelines on a particular topic in this lecture especially, just go for the green dot slides. Okay, so this is another visual clue which can be utilized.